For the past 16 months, the owner just turning on the lights for the first time during the pandemic to meet us here this morning. He says with the return of mass recommendations to the Bay Area, regardless of vaccination status.
Get Spectrum Mobile with our unlimited data plan for $45 a line or our Buy the Gig plan for $14 a gig. Visit a Spectrum store, go to SpectrumMobile.com or call 844-230-8821.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. Rritual Superfoods is a plant-based health and wellness company. And with me is the CEO, David Kerbel, to explain what Rritual Superfoods is all about. So, David, welcome and give us an overview of what Rritual is.
Would be glad to. So Rritual is really the first award-winning premium brand in the emerging functional mushroom and adaptogenic food superfood market.
Interesting.
I mean, we're really a platform. It's not just a functional mushroom. We're going to be introducing health and wellness items throughout many different categories, really utilizing that plant-based, natural, holistic formula to make folks' minds and bodies feel better.
Okay, interesting. And who is on your team?
Yeah, we've got a team of folks with about 150 years CPG experience. Myself, I've been in the consumer packaged goods business and health and wellness business for 36 years. And this is really the fun part of life for me. I get to take a company that we had an idea to help the world through stressful times. We got together about a year and a half ago, right around when the tragedies of the world and the pandemic took place, to really bring forth items that are good for you from a physical standpoint, but also from a mental health perspective. And I think that's the key here. So the team is based on folks with 30 years experience, our COO in the consumer packaged goods business, our Chief Innovation Officer, Stacy Gillespie. She's been developing health and wellness items throughout the past 25 years. Our VP of Sales was with me on one of my prior journeys with Celsius Beverage. It's a publicly traded company. And we're really following a lot of the sales footprint that we laid out 10 years ago when we first rolled out Celsius. So everyone on the team, our CMO, Peter Pilarchio, has launched brands in the health and wellness space. And we thought we'd bring out the best of each other to really think about the questions that consumers are looking for, retailers are looking for, our e-commerce partners are looking for, and really get those questions asked and answer.
So what are your products right now?
So our original launch is around 3 specific functional mushrooms with adaptogens. The first is our immune booster, chaga. It's a chaga mushroom that really focuses in on helping boost the body's immune system. In addition to that, we tie in eleuthero root, which is an adaptogen that really boosts that immunity, really supercharges that. Our second item is Lion's Mane Brain Booster. It's our focus item. So again, it's a functional mushroom with the tie-in with adaptogens, and we use a rhodiola root. And then our third is our Relax, our Reishi Relax. I take all 3 every day. The Reishi at night, right before you turn in and relax, just to unplug from the wired day that you have. The important part is that we're dealing with immunity, brain boosting, stress relief, but also every one of our products has a prebiotic. So we're dealing with gut health too. So again, these are 2,000-year-old formulas that we've supercharged with adaptogens, tied in with prebiotic blends that really taste good. We've done it. It's an old Kerbal-ism, as it were, to really bring an item that somebody wants to have because it's efficacious, but it also tastes good too. So you're drinking it because you want to, not just because you have to.
So, okay. So this is a drink, right? Or is this like an herb that you put in a water or something?
Yeah, it's a powdered elixir.
Powder.
Right.
Okay.
So we are starting off with our powders, our 3 hero items in 2 formats, a tub and an on-the-go stick. So we've got 6 SKUs that are available right now. We're just about to launch a vegan collagen booster, so beauty from within, again, in that powdered form. We're also going to be focusing in on a latte that really deals with mood and relaxation and energy. So again, our vegan-based, plant-based powders. We'll be launching RTDs, ready-to-drink products, in the near-term future. If you look at every one of our backgrounds on our executive team, we're all beverage folks. We really believe that functional beverage, folks that are on the go, really want to take their health and wellness with them.
Well, very true. So, and you mentioned stress and immunity, brain health, things like that. Where there's studies to support how these help.
Yeah, it's really no peer studies today, but over 2,000 years of data of being used in the Eastern cultures, of mushrooms being used for better health, better wellness. But we're really focusing in. There are early day studies right now on some of these, and I'm not making these claims, but this is something that we're looking at for brain function, for focus, for memory, especially as the population gets older. And that energy and that relaxation is really for that mental charge and that really relaxation part of it after we're all ramped up to go. So we've got a lot of data in terms of studies. We've got fewer data. It's a newer item to the superfood arena. Even though it's been around for a long time, these claims and these items are really being studied right now. We feel very good about where we are. I've taken it for the past 6 months. It really perks me up, keeps me focused, and then really nice and relaxed later.
Yeah. And what about investors? Like when you talk to them, what do you stress about the company, your growth? Kind of give me the investor pitch.
Sure. And it's a rocket ship ride. I mean, literally 6 months ago, we didn't exist. We were a company that formed. We went public in March on the Canadian Stock Exchange. We just listed on OTCQB. We're really excited by that. But if you think this through, we've already exceeded our retail targets. We've already exceeded those milestones.
Okay. Well, good luck. And I'm going to look for the products because I need something besides a soft drink. So thank you so much, David, for joining us, and look forward to getting updates from you.
Thank you.
Well, Kylin says it is doing for data what DeFi did for crypto. And so with me is Dylan Dudney, who is the Chief Effort Officer and also a founder of Kylin, to kind of explain what all that means. So Dylan, welcome. And I guess just start off and give me an overview of Kylin and what it is you're doing.
So Kylin is essentially a data blockchain, and what we mean by that is we're built on Substrate, which is we're built using Substrate, and on top of Polkadot. Polkadot itself is like a layer 0, and many different parachains will be put on top of that, acting like layer 1 blockchains. We are looking to be one of those parachains, or a layer 1 blockchain, and we're basically a validated data blockchain. What that means is we're able to take data from various different sources. Anything that can be represented by zeros and ones can be validated by us, put on chain, and then can automate different smart contracts. And that's sort of like the technical viewpoint of what Kylin is.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That was very technical, and thank you for that. No, that's good. No, I'm glad we have that background, but how would a consumer or use this, or business use this?
So we have the slogan, doing for DeFi, doing for data what DeFi did for crypto. I better make sure I get my own slogans right. And basically what we mean by that is if we take the trend of DeFi in crypto, which was basically a way for traditional financial instruments like yield or collateralized loans to be echoed within a decentralized environment, we're doing sort of the same thing for data, or at least we hope to. We at least hope to be on the leading edge of what we see as a very large trend coming to the fore in the next year and a half, which is decentralized data, or a new term that we've come up with, D-data, and so in the same way that, in 2017 and 2018, all the way through to late 2019, we had these, idle crypto assets, right? Like we had BTC and we had ETH just sitting in wallets, sort of doing nothing. And then all of a sudden we had all these things we could do with them that were, really interesting and remunerative. We see that same sort of trend occurring for data. So whether that's data on chain, right? So for example, wallet behavior, very, very, very neat to start to understand, somebody's wallet behavior, attaching it to perhaps an identity, and then you can assess credit risk. These are interesting applications, but then there are also enterprise level applications. For example, how do I monetize or sell data in a decentralized way?
Yeah, well, data is the new oil, I hear. So, and it sounds like it could be even bigger than oil at some point. So, describe to me some use cases so we can have a better sense of exactly what it is Kylin's doing.
Yeah, so the use cases I really like to talk about there's a couple that I really hone in on, or three that I really hone in, because I think they're really interesting, and they're a bit like lightning rods for people's interest. So the first that I talk about is this may sound like science fiction, but tokenizing genomes, right? What that means is an individual could basically put their genomic information in an anonymized way on chain, and then sell it directly in a decentralized way, P2P, to researchers. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'd never do that," or they're very interested, or they have privacy concerns or things like that. But or they think it's too far out in the future, and that seems weird. But the thing that's really interesting to think about is that it's actually happening right now. Companies like 23andMe and Ancestry.com, they actually, half of their rev gen, close to half of their revenue generation comes from selling your genomic information on the back end to researchers. So it's a business model is already operational, but like many business models, they have a point of centrality that they're filtered through. Many business models that rely on individual information. So that would be one thing that you could do. You could tokenize your genome. You could throw it on a decentralized marketplace. You could basically monetize yourself, literally.
Well, very interesting. And Dylan, I hope you come back and because I think this is a story that is going to be continuously told over the next few years. So come back and update it. Yeah,
I'd love to. And I really appreciate you giving me and the project a venue to discuss, what we're up to. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. MahaDAO is creating a currency that performs better than inflation. And with me is a creator of the currency, Steve Inamakal. And Steve, I was just telling you, your timing may be unbelievable because we're starting to see inflation. So let's back up a little bit. Tell me about MahaDAO, what its purpose is, and why you decided to create it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Jane. Right. I'm going to quickly explain to you what is MahaDAO. So MahaDAO is a cryptocurrency project that is aiming to create the world's first value coin. In the cryptocurrency space, we have seen many different kinds of currencies. We've seen stable coins, we've seen volatile currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. But a value coin is something new. It is fundamentally very different from what a cryptocurrency market has seen. And essentially, it is trying to solve and answer the problem of inflation, which is basically, can we create something that is stable, that can be used as a store of value and a medium of exchange, but at the same time fight the current inflation crisis that we have today. So if you look at what in the crypto space today, you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and these cryptocurrencies that serve more of a use case of being a store of value than a medium of exchange. Mm-hmm. And then you have the US dollar, the fiat currencies that serve as a medium of exchange, but suffer through massive inflation. So basically, we are creating a currency that has like the best of both, right? Which is a good store of value and a medium of exchange that, performs better than inflation.
So why did you think this was important to do this? I mean, give me your background, and inflation's been a hot topic. I mean, did you kind of foresee this, and what made you think inflation was coming?
So sure. So a lot of, so my background is computer science and economics. The motivation for a lot of this is precisely how the current federal governments have handled the coronavirus crisis. And the response was to simply print more fiat currency. And also the fact that where the crypto space is today, if you look at currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they mostly don't serve the purpose of buying a cup of coffee anymore, right? It's more to the narrative for these cryptocurrencies have shifted from being a medium of exchange to more store of value, right? And so we decided that, hey, there is a gap here, that why don't we create something that could sort of do both? And in the crypto space, there have been different attempts in trying to create such a currency. And of course, the coronavirus pandemic accelerated the need for creating something that, could fight inflation. We just decided that, it's time that we created something and took a step forward in doing that. So that's where we came up with MahaDAO in creating the world's first value coin.
Mm-hmm. What are some use cases?
So particularly the way current use cases is to use it as a store of value and medium of exchange. And the currency that we are launching is called Earth. And the use case primarily is focused on the crypto and the DeFi sector initially for the first 1 year. But as the project matures and as the coin grows, we will see use cases in government institutions as the project evolves, right? So initially the use cases are in the crypto and the DeFi sector, but as the project evolves, you will see retail, institution, and government use cases propping up as well.
Well, sure. I mean, I can see pension funds investing in something like this if it's a hedge against inflation, if we're actually heading into some long-term inflationary times.
Absolutely.
So where do you see MahaDAO in 3 years?
So sure. So MahaDAO is starting off as a cryptocurrency project, but really we see MahaDAO as a movement that expands and really takes place into defining the actual a true global currency, right? We see MahaDAO creating value coin, the value coin narrative, and pushing that forward, and having adoption from major different governments, communities, nations, right? So we really do see MahaDAO to be at the center of the inflation narrative. We also do see MahaDAO to be one of the strong, powerful forces, decentralized forces pushing forward a currency that, really could be the most effective currency in the world, right? In the future, probably. So MahaDAO today is a decentralized community. It could grow to the likes of Bitcoin or Libra. That's something we foresee in terms of how decentralized it could be, of how disruptive it could be in its nature.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us.
Thank you, Jane, for having me.
Enjoy the benefits of the world's first patented time-release hemp-based CBD topical cream. Hourglass has achieved increased topical bioavailability of cannabinoids that slowly release our CBD over an extended period of time. Hourglass is 99% CBD, THC-free, and lab-tested, and verified by scanning our QR codes. Visit hourglassonlinestore.com.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Wee Pad Inventor Company. BlackBird Biotech is providing innovative biotech solutions for companies. And with me is the CEO and President, Fabian Denault, to talk more about what BlackBird is doing. So welcome, Fabian. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Jane. I appreciate you having us today.
So let's start with just kind of, you recently changed the name of the company, right? So what was behind that? What was the old name? What was behind the change to the new name?
The old name was the Digital Development Partners, and the reason that was the company we took over, and it just didn't fit what we were doing. So over the past year and a half now, we were knowing we were going to change the name. It was just when would be the right time. So BlackBird Biotech tells a little more of the story of what our company is. So I felt it important to get away from that generic Digital Development Partners. And Blackbird Biotech said, okay, we're different. We're doing things different. We actually have a biopesticide as one of our first major products. So it just made sense that we picked a name that more fit with our vision.
Yeah. Okay. And then tell me about Might Extreme.
Might Extreme. I developed Might Extreme about 3 years ago, working with the cannabis industry. Spider mites in the cannabis and hemp are a very, very damaging pest. So I had another product that I developed and did some changes to that, made some changes, went to an all plant-based food grade ingredients, which with testing, we were able to reduce spider mites to the point where some of the growers I worked with, I went in and they had webbing. And this is kind of getting into the weeds. Yeah. But once you have webbing, spider mite webbing on cannabis, it's real easy to lose that whole crop. And 30 to 40% of the yield from that crop, plus the state testing for different things, you can literally lose a $3,000 plant, a $30,000 or $60,000, $100,000 crop. So it was interesting. I started working on it. I had an idea of what I was looking at and was able to develop it with, as I said, plant-based food grade ingredients and eliminate the spider mites, their eggs, the webbing, and then pass state testing. In the state of Montana, we only test for 14 different pesticides, but in Oregon, they'll test, it's called the ORLAB test. I believe that's 159 different pesticides that they test for. Well, we got it into a third-party lab. They did the testing, -0 for all of the pesticides they test for. And we were able to spray all the way up to the day of harvest. So with other products such as neem oils and malathion, malathion's not allowed. Neem oils, you have to stop using neem oils, and that's a barrier, not a pesticide. So it doesn't do quite the same thing, but you're still 10 days to 2 weeks before harvest, you have to stop using those products. Okay. So that was exciting that we could do that. Now, as we've moved on, we've seen that testing that I've done on other pests, including bed bugs, and right now I'm doing vegetable gardens, and actually being able to spray the plants and keep pests off the vegetables and the leaves, and that's been exciting as well.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like it could be very economically beneficial to the farmer and the consumer, perhaps down the line. So,
yes, our cost point, our price point is was something that I was very conscious of, and knowing in the agricultural business that if I could keep it around $1 a gallon ready to use, in that neighborhood, $1 to $1.25 a gallon, that it was a product that was economical to use, as you mentioned. And you see so many different products out there that are so expensive that they don't make sense to use in crops, because the profit margin in agriculture is not really there.
Right. So what distinguishes Might Extreme from competitors?
That's a tough one, because I've yet to find a competitor. And the reason I say that is because having a biopesticide that is plant-based, all food grade, you're going up against things like neem oil and different products like that. But there's nothing on the market that I found that in all crops that you can spray it through the day of harvest, one, and have the same kill ratio, if you will, for the pests. There's not another product on the market that I have been able to find that is a direct competitor. What really sets us apart is the ability to keep costs low, and that being able to treat right through the day of harvest. I have cherry trees. Where I live in Montana, cherries are a big agricultural crop around Flathead Lake. We get leaf rollers and some different pests. So I've been testing on, I've got 2 cherry trees, one that I've been using Might Extreme on, and it's been very effective at keeping the different pests that we find with cherry trees off the cherry tree that I've sprayed. The other one has had the same damage it does when I don't spray it with anything.
Wow, really some interesting research going on there. And let us know how it goes as your product starts to roll out.
We will do that. I appreciate you taking time to speak with us.
Yeah.
I've been at Fox Business for 12 years because I'm invested in my viewers big time. There are smart people on Wall Street making money off all of this. Why can't you? We care about your success, and we want to be a part of it.
Fox Business, invested in you.
This is important news for people who have taken Zantac or its generic.
Every year, I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
Here in beautiful San Diego, we understand you have many choices of who to manage and where to invest your money. At Wilsey Asset Management, we have developed investment strategies which have produced solid returns throughout my 40 years of investment experience, including the 2008 financial crisis. Can you imagine earning a good return on your investment and feeling safe and secure? Let's help you make the right choice for all your investment and financial planning needs.
Learn more about our investment strategies at our next workshop.
This country was made by tax rebels, freedom fighters, gold seekers, believers, lovers, and true patriots. We're Newsmax, and we're their heirs, and so are you. NewsmaxTV, real news for real people.
Here are the facts. 20,000 students experience at least 1 day per year of homelessness in San Diego County. That's why we need your help. SDCCU's Stuff the Bus is partnering with the San Diego County Office of Education to collect money to purchase back-to-school supplies for local students. Help fill the virtual school bus and set up these students for success. Donate throughout July at any Ralph's or Food for Less in San Diego or online at sdccu.com/donate.
If you're behind on your
responsibility and at the feet of the president. Listen.
Another $3.5 trillion in spending. This is the same reckless taxing and spending spree the Democrats dreamt up when they assumed our economy would be having the opposite problem.
Now, the Federal Reserve does believe that inflation is coming in higher than they expected. They believe it's going to settle down eventually. But some economists, as you said, Stu, are skeptical about this, saying it might need some help. Once you let that genie out of the bottle, so to speak, it might need some help coming back down. Back to you.
We need to hear from some qualified economists about this. Edward Lawrence, thank you very much indeed. I think we should bring in Anthony Chan. He's a qualified economist. All right, Anthony, let's hit this head on. The president says spend a ton of money and inflation moderates. I fundamentally disagree with that. How about you?
Well, Stuart, what we have here is a situation where it depends on what kind of spending. If it's spending to stimulate aggregate demand, I agree 100% with you that it would be inflationary. If it is spending to increase infrastructure per se, real infrastructure, and ease bottleneck pressures, and make the economy enhance its productivity growth rate, it is not inflationary. But when you look at a package of $3.5 trillion, there's going to be a hodgepodge of things there. There are going to be some things that actually stimulate demand and some of those things that will help on the supply side. And then it's not just the fiscal side. We also have to worry about the Federal Reserve. Right now, with $120 billion worth of bond purchases every single month in an economy that's expanding, already the Atlanta Fed is telling us that economic growth is going to be 7.6% in the second quarter. We can, in fact, use a Federal Reserve that starts to think about tapering and starts to think about it sooner rather than later. Otherwise, that inflationary scenario that you've outlined, Stuart, is the one that's actually going to occur.
Yeah, so that will happen. What happens if we've got 4 or even 5% inflation in the fall and winter of this year? Is that when the Federal Reserve has to turn around and do this taper thing, putting less money into the economy, raising rates and slowing the economy? If we've got 4 or 5% inflation at the end of this year, surely that's exactly what has to happen.
Absolutely. We already have that today. But if we have that on a persistent basis and it extends through the end of the year, the Federal Reserve will have to start tapering. Remember, Stuart, that the tapering starts first and then they start thinking about raising rates later. But again, we need to start the process if the economy continues to accelerate it the way it is. And of course, if those inflationary pressures. But we already are starting to see some signs. Lumber prices are down more than 50% from the peak. Copper prices are down. Even oil prices are easing up a little bit from their peak. So if we continue to see those things, it's encouraging. But right now, I think the scenario you've drawn up, Stuart, is the one that's accurate. The Federal Reserve has to do something